But let's just say if you want to write your own custom exception, and you can do that. It's just the cool thing about Java is you can do your own. Okay, so I'm going to go up here, and let me just remove that print statement here. This is a print function. Okay, let me just close that. And then down here, I'm going to write a class. So I'm inside the try-catch class, but I'm going to write my own class. Let's just put it down here. So class, and I will call it just my custom exception, maybe my try-catch class, right? Exception. My try-C exception. I'm being lazy here. And then you want to extend the exception class. Okay. So as you can see, the exception is the parent class. And we saw earlier that if you look at the tree again, if you look at the arithmetic exception, it exactly that's it has a runtime, but then the runtime actually extends the exception. Okay. But basically, you can extend any subclass because you write your own custom class, because it's going to go up the chain anyway. So I could extend the arithmetic exception here, and that's fine because it's going to go up to the parent. And so it's always just good to go right into the parent, which is the exception class here. So in here, I'm going to write a constructor, my own constructor, public empty exception. One could take no parameter, right? We learned to do that just like a regular class. I could write another one, MTC exception with a string message. Just call it MSG for message, and then in here I will put the message. You will write the message to the console, like you saw earlier, the stack trace. Instead of saying sys out the message, you're going to pass this string to the parent class, right? Pass to the superclass. Do you remember how you do that? How do you pass data to the superclass? Yeah, just like that, right? So I'm just going to go super, okay, I'll let the exception handle this message. Okay? And so whatever the message is, I'll just send that to the message, to the exception, and exception will print that to the screen, and I can capture or see all those messages. So for this empty one, then since there's no message passed to it, I have to be very specific to whatever this class is, right? So usually you do something very specific, like we see the arithmetic, we have the number format, things like that. I could say something like illegal character exception, right? Or a non-numeric exception, like that. And then since that is the case, then you can put your own message here. So again, pass that to the parent and say my MTC exception. I mean, whatever that exception may be. Okay. So here I have two constructors. And these are custom exceptions. It's my own. And you can use either one, because this is more dynamic, right? You have different types of messages. This one here is always going to be my MTC exception. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the program here, and let's just say that I'm going to remove that system out statement here. Okay, I'm going to do a try catch here. So we do a try catch, try, and then we'll catch it here. The type will be the MTC exception, because that's the class that we're going to create, right? So it has to be the type. So MTC exception, and then again just use E. Okay, you'll see that it says unreachable catch block because MTC exception is never thrown by the try statement, right? So if there's no error, there's no possible error inside that block, then you will also have this type of error. It won't compile. That means that inside your try catch, you must use its own objects in here in order to make sure that's effective. Otherwise, there's no point of catching it, right? So to throw your own message in here, you could do like, do whatever, right? You check the variable names. I'll just say that, you know what, if a number is something something, then I'm going to force a message to be thrown. So you can use the message called throw. Let's see, I'm going to say throw new MTC exception. Okay, I'm just forcing this message to be thrown. I'm forcing it. To throw a message. So this is how you do you throw a message. You use keyword throw, and then this part here is just an instantiation of your class, right? I'm calling the empty constructor, so it's going to print a message down here, which is my MTC exception, because I forced that to be thrown here. And any message after this, again, if I type in as system out hi, it's not going to be printed, okay? Because that's not. It's going to be up in here, unreachable code. Yeah, it's just say it's unreachable code because we know that it's going to throw the error message. Okay, so let's see. Let's throw that here, and if I run this, I have to make sure. Yeah, I got it right. I thought it's in a print statement, but print function it's not. Well, let's see what happens here. Did it run? Yeah, I didn't throw any message. I want to say here sys e dot you can print the stack trace. Let's see. Okay, so here is the message, right? This is the type of error. It didn't seem there's no error we didn't see earlier because they didn't print it. Because once we catch it, the system still runs. So it prints a stack and the trace. If I do sys out, just put e.getMessage, then that's going to be the message you get from when you pass that to the superclass, right? So here this is the message, okay, or the type of error message that you can customize. And I also want to print the stack. Okay, so if you throw that, so there's the message, my error message, and then it will just again print the stack where it occurs. Okay, so this one here is not useful right now. Can turn that off. Okay, so you throw your own message. If you want to use the other one, the second message, then that one takes a string. So you can put the message there, right? So I could say throw some error, something like that. Again, it's the constructor that you have. So you can have as many constructors as you want. One could take the empty constructor, one take a string, one could take other data, right? So if you run this again, you will see that that is the custom message you get there. Some error, right? And if you don't handle this here, again, if you just change that to the exception, right? Instead of the my MTC exception. Okay, so go back to the global, the parent class exception only. If I put another, put S here so we know that is a different message. You run it. See, it still catches it because, again, that's the catch-all. Okay? It's a catch-all exception because it's the parent class of the MTC exception. So that's how you customize your own exceptions, catch and throw your error. Here, literally just throw that in here. But you want to do some type of operations before this, right? You do some comparisons, check certain data occurs or not, check recent data, or if something that doesn't meet your criteria, then throw the exception. Okay. And once you throw it, execution stops at that point. It jumps to the catch. If there's anything there, otherwise it goes to the finally, and then it continues on the rest of the code. Okay. Okay, so this throw new message here, you have to put this inside the try catch block here. In other words, I can't just do, I can't just do that, right? If I just have to throw something, okay, it won't let me do it. It needs to catch it. And if you mouse over this, it will say unhandled exception. And you have two options. It says add throws declaration or surround with a try catch. So if you click surround with try catch, it's going to do that for you automatically. It does it, right? Kind of nice. Or if you go back and then choose the first one, add throws declaration. Okay, what this does is it adds it to your function. Okay, the head of the function head. Whatever that function is being called from, or that throw is being called from, you need to throw that in at the top of your function to catch it. So that function will catch the error instead of inside that try catch block. Okay, so either way or the other way, you have to do it. Otherwise, you can't just suddenly throw something in the code. Okay, so you see that sometimes it forces you to throw an exception using a function head here. So now if you run it, right, it gets the error, but because we didn't catch it, at least your code runs. Okay. So if you don't put it up here, you can't just throw a message there.